What do you think?
Episode 12 of Grey's Anatomy Season 22 introduces a problem for future seasons. In Season 22, Amelia finally breaks the romance curse on Grey's Anatomy. This episode introduces one of the show's nostalgic aspects. In order to demonstrate that not all medical problems are resolved in a single day, we continue with one of the primary medical plotlines from Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 11. In the meantime, Amelia keeps digging herself a hole, which simply makes me wish the authors could come up with a different plot for her. Let's dive right in. An issue is caused by having too many bosses. Teddy and Winston quarreled over whether to do the aorta procedure they invented or a T-bar during Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 11. Teddy ultimately took over and decided on the T-bar, which, predictably, turned out to be the incorrect decision. Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 12 picks off where we left off. Teddy acknowledges her error and requests Winston's assistance. Sometimes I truly appreciate Winston's perspectives on a medical issue, but other times I find him to be annoyingly arrogant. He's smug right now, and it's unnecessary. I understand his frustration, but doesn't he recognize Teddy's self-kicking behavior? She must find a solution and stop being beaten. Luckily, Winston ultimately understands Teddy's needs. Even though it clearly works, there is still an issue. Teddy and Winston aren't necessarily the source of this issue. The seasons have not altered their personality. Rather, since Weber and Hunt resigned as chief, the hospital has lacked a defined command structure. The distinctions between the ranks are becoming hazy. Grey's Anatomy needs to determine out who is truly in command of the cardio section because it's difficult to tell. Problematic women are not needed. One of Mohunty's characters is just beginning to irritate me. Other than sleeping with Blue and being envious of the younger female inhabitants, what is the purpose of her role? She only seems to have a problem with women. Even before their hospital shifts, she is ready to give Jules commands, and when Jules demonstrates the true nature of medicine, she becomes offended. Being skilled in surgery is one thing, and if that's what counts to a doctor, then fantastic. Many doctors don't give a damn about peer approval or bedside manners. Mohunty appears to want both, though. She is a cooler doctor who is more concerned with her abilities, but she also wants to be liked by her teachers and patients. She is also a hypocrite. Despite the fact that they are not in the same race, she is so afraid that a second-year doctor will replace her. Is it Jules in particular? I get the impression that Mohunty is expressing her fears over her connection to Blue. She recently told Blue that she didn't desire a committed relationship, but Jules' bond with him has always confused her. She obviously understands that Jules and Blue were once together, but I don't sure she is aware of it. Indeed, a woman is aware when a female friend and her partner conduct an affair, she only needs to disclose it. This act of jealousy is hurting everyone. But by the end of the show, I will give Jules her due. Jules quickly points out that everything appeared fine before to their initial departure as Tony chastises them for making a mistake in the ore. But I don't think this will work out well for her. This will undoubtedly be viewed by Mohunty as an opportunity to move Jules aside. It's obvious that she has experienced something similar before when she tells Jules about the M&M that will take place. Ultimately, Jules was unaware of the procedure that would follow the event. How many problems has Mohunty caused in the past, and does this account for her jealousy and insecurities? Women like this are not necessary. It's time to give up on high school peaks. Characters in Grey's Anatomy need time to rest. The more I watch Bryant on Grey's Anatomy, the more I like him. It's obvious that the show barely scratches the surface of his more complex past. Just a few episodes before, he had an incredible connection with the autistic patient, and now it was obvious that something was wrong with his patient's brother. The issue is that if he has an arc, it generally revolves on Simone and their romance. Grey's Anatomy has lost its appeal at this point. Yes, there have been many romantic storylines in the past. Though they didn't entirely dominate the personal arcs, we all remember Meredith and Derek, Christina and Burke, and Lexi and Sloane. In addition to delivering other interpersonal ties, we were able to observe how the couples would collaborate. With the exception of Lucas, Bryant's interactions with other second-year patients at the hospital have been minimal, with the exception of a possible romantic triangle. Every episode involves him in a medical case, but we don't get to see how much he's learning. The fact that there are now too many characters in the series makes it hard to give each one enough opportunity to shine. The attention shifted to Link, Joe, Teddy, and Owen once Amelia left, but Bryant and the other new interns should have been given greater attention at this point. Amelia is once again the center of attention, and not in a positive way. Once more, her romantic life is the main focus, and it's a hurried one. She's already talking about seeing someone and telling people you're seeing you have kids, after having one sexual encounter with Tony. While watching Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 11, I wondered why she wasn't learning. If she learned not to go into relationships too quickly, I wouldn't mind as much. The comparison of marriages. Getting an older Bailey, the one who would stop at nothing to assist her patients, was one wonderful outcome of this. Lucas criticized Bailey for not caring about Katie in the last episode, but as everyone knows, Bailey isn't like that. We can see how much she cares in Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 12. Her obsession grows because Katie is the only thing on her mind right now. However, we get to see more of this power couple since Ben knows her. Naturally, there is a part where Ben tries to get close to Tony and Bailey realizes how much work she needs to do to support her husband, but this is more about witnessing a husband and wife collaborate in a way we don't often get to. It was easy to see through Bailey's eye-rolling frustration as she pushed her husband's compliments, but it's always good to see a happy, healthy marriage in the hospital. On the other hand, we witness Joe and Link fighting once more. Although their present arc is significant, I would like to see the two of them become like Bailey and Ben. It's a debate that a lot of parents have. Taking care of a newborn is challenging. You can't know what they need, and they don't always sleep. Everything gets exhausting and stressful. Every new parent deserves a break, but Link approached it in an entirely inappropriate manner. Joe has every right to be upset that he visits his former home in order to get away from the commotion. When does Joe leave? Focusing on your personal wants is human nature, and many new parents do just that. It makes it understandable, but it doesn't make it correct. This kind of plot will be crucial in strengthening Link and Joe's relationship, and that is how I hope Grey's Anatomy develops. Good communication is essential to a strong marriage, and Bailey and Ben have it. It simply wasn't simple. Where Ben and Bailey were years ago, Link and Joe are now. As long as Grey's Anatomy wants another happy pair, there is still hope. Naturally, given the history of the program, that never seems to be the case, but the fact that they both express regret and talk about the issue gives optimism. Ultimately, I think we've seen this story before. Every now and then, Grey's Anatomy manages to capture the essence of what initially captivated us before losing it due to a greater emphasis on romantic drama than medical drama. This can indicate that it's time to put a stop to it. It is unquestionably an indication that the cast has to be reduced. Diagnosis: back on. Teddy underwent one of the riskiest procedures of her career in the March 5 episode of Grey's Anatomy, before returning to her comfortable surroundings with Owen. Here we go once more. It would be an understatement to say that Teddy was in a state of fear for the majority of the hour. She had already made a poor decision by postponing this specific surgery for her patient, and she was about to execute a procedure that she had only ever done once, on Nora, of all people. Put another way, everything was actually at stake in this situation. Owen tried to console Teddy when he found her in a supply closet by encouraging her to take a breath, but this only made her more agitated. "Don't tell me what I need," she yelled. "You are no longer responsible for that." And to be honest, it was annoying when it was. Quietly backing out of the room, Owen agreed to keep an eye on the children while she operated. Teddy's dangerous procedure was successful despite one horrifying hiccup, so much blood, and she was relieved to be able to return home after working for nearly 2 days in a row. She chose to be the larger person and apologize for chewing Teddy's head off during a stressful situation since Owen wasn't going to bring up his outburst. But rather of adding to Teddy's sorrow, Owen seems to fully comprehend. "You are at your best when your back is against the wall," he stated to her. A little mean, sometimes, but brilliant. The atmosphere abruptly shifted. He said, "Why would I?" In response to her question, "You are never going to stop believing in me, are you?" After that, a kiss. One day following the signing of their divorce decree, do these people believe they are watching a medical soap opera or something? In other Grey's Anatomy segments this week, Lucas blamed himself for neglecting a call and text from Katie earlier in the day when she was sent to the hospital due to serious respiratory issues. He also blamed Bailey for instructing him to concentrate more on his other patients. As a result, Bailey advised Lucas to stand back from Katie's case. Furthermore, Bailey is completely unaware of their little visit to the marina from a few episodes ago. The only person who cannot see it is Lucas. Amelia was anxious about telling Tony that she had a son after their wonderful evening together. Fortunately, Tony also had a son, so her concern turned out to be unfounded. A playdate is obviously necessary. This week, Mohunty and Jules were partnered up on a patient, but Mohunty was not in the mood to be kind. She considered Jules as a threat to her sole objective of impressing Tony in order to get a transfer to Boston, and she even went so far as to stop Jules from taking part in surgery. But when their patient encountered problems and Tony had to intervene, it all came back to haunt her. The man will now need to have several more procedures, and he might not live long enough to take his wife on a safari. Seeing the zebras was all he wanted. Joe was ecstatic to give her infants to a nanny for the first time. But when she discovered that Link had been slipping out to his rented house for alone time, her delight was dashed. Joe was urged to locate her own escape room by Link, who also expressed regret for the secrecy. Did she shed a ladies' den? A lair for ladies? They're all awful names, to be honest, but Joe is the one in this duo that truly deserves one. After hearing Jules discuss freezing their eggs, Simone spent a large portion of the episode trying to persuade Wes that she wasn't trying to conceive. However, it turned out that Wes had much more pressing concerns. His brother's epilepsy had gotten worse and he was now in a coma, so Wes was leaving town for a while. He told Simone, "I just didn't want you to wonder where your lap dances went," suggesting that their relationship was fine for the time being. Now, let's discuss. Do you believe that Owen and Teddy will reconcile as a result of this kiss? Was Joe surprisingly unconcerned about her husband using his former apartment as a covert retreat? And would it be possible for Jules and Mohunty's patient to survive long enough to witness the zebras? Joe learns that Link has been keeping a significant secret from her. As Link receives a notification regarding a plumbing problem at his rental property, Joe and Link get ready to go take care of some things. Joe chooses to go with him to the house even though he wants to go on his own. Joe quickly concludes that Link has been using the house as a type of man cave after noticing a large screen TV, multiple guitars, and empty beer bottles when they get there. Joe is naturally upset when he admits that he has been visiting the property to take getaways from the children. She later begs him to apologize, claiming that she is a shadow of her former self, but he is too busy in the man cave to notice. The plumber comes, interrupting the conversation. After the plumber leaves, they sit down and he apologizes for keeping it a secret from her. She is more envious than angry. As he points out that they must look after themselves, Link tells her that she too needs a place to go for some quiet time. As she makes jokes about discovering her lady hideaway, Joe is sympathetic. As Anita makes a grave error, Amelia and Tony become closer. At the beginning of the show, Tony invites Amelia to go on a formal date, and the two hook up in the on-call room. Amelia claims she has her sunset hiking group and gets a rain check after starting to talk about having her kid. After that, the two went about their days, each of which took them in rather different directions. Tony is working with Jules and Anita on a case involving a man who requires a difficult surgery. Bailey helps Ben get excited during the procedure, so when Tony receives an emergency burn call, she begs for his assistance with the consultation. She gives Jules and Anita the job of completing the process as she leaves. Jules observes Anita's tension throughout the case and learns that Tony is relying on Tony's recommendation to get a job in Boston. It appears that Anita prevented Jules from taking part in the surgery because she saw her as a threat to the position. This ultimately blows up in his face when their patient experiences severe problems that necessitate many procedures.